Good evening. My name is Ray Dwyer, and this is Dr. Joe Dispenza's Meditation and Book Discussion Group. Tonight, we're talking about Becoming Supernatural, Chapter 5, Reconditioning the Body to a New Mind. I'm on Chapter 113. Dr. Joe writes, to get all the benefits of this technique, your knowledge of what you'll be doing and why you are doing it will serve as the foundation for the experience, and so will make the how easier for you, not to mention making the technique more effective. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. The what, the why, and the how. A little lower on that same page, those feelings cause you to generate more thoughts. So your thoughts drive your feelings, and your feelings drive more thoughts, and you create a body-mind loop. Now, this is very normal in our life. We create a body-mind loop when we worry. Did you ever notice that? Did you ever notice that the same systems that you use in a harmful way with worry and stress and anger and passion and fear, these same systems that draw these hardships to you are the same systems that draw blessings to you. They really are. Life is simple. You get what you are. I'll go into details of what I mean by that. And because emotions, this is on the next page, and because emotions are recorded of past experiences. When you have a random experience, what you're doing is your body is responding to a trigger, and it responds by releasing chemicals. And those chemicals we call emotions. So don't let your emotions rule your day, because your emotions are just your past reflecting into your body right now. Now, don't think I'm contradicting, because as we get clear of our past, we'll be calling in, tuning into our future, letting that future energy drive new energy into us, and our body will respond with new emotions. So there is a little contradiction in the statement, but it's when the emotions are pulled from the past. Don't let them rule your day, because you'll just be living in the past then. In fact, 95% of who we are as adults is so habituated through repetition that the body has been programmed to be the mind, and the body, not the conscious mind, is running the show. That means 95% of what we do moment by moment, including me talking with my hands, is programmed in my subconscious. And only 5% is the guy steering the wheel. And most of the time, the guy steering the wheel is our subconscious mind. For those who drive a car, how much of that driving are you conscious of? You get in, I mean, you've driven your car for many years. You get in, start the way, and you drive off. And just, you ever get to where you're going and not remember a couple miles of the journey because you're so spaced out, because it's so repetition, your conscious mind wasn't even recording it? That's kind of a strange experience, but I've had it. You know, you look around like, oh, okay, I hope I didn't run any stop signs or something, because you just zoom out because you're so habituated to the journey. On page 115, how energy gets stored in the body. A little bit of the how process. Now let's look at how the thinking feeling loop works in relationship to the body energy center. How is important, right? That's because most people's thoughts and feelings activate those energy centers. As you remember, from the previous chapter, each of the body's energy centers has its own individual energy information, glands, hormones, chemistry, and neural circuitry, and its own individual mini brain or minds, or really each has a mind of its own. Now, some of you may be new to Dr. Joe's work, and I'm wondering, did you know? I didn't, not when I started. Did you know the body has multiple mini brains? This isn't woo woo. This is neurological, physiological fact. The neural plexus in different parts of your body are like mini specialized brains. And when they get activated, they create an electromagnetic field, and that is mind. You know, when I was going through my earlier journey, I learned about the word chakras and the center and the energy fields about their bodies, but I thought they were just pseudoscience, pseudo mystic energy beings about your body. I started doing Dr. Joe's work and come to find out, no, the Hindi had it right thousands of years ago. But what I didn't understand about what they were trying to teach is that these are actual minds, neural plexus in the body that regulate the glands of the body, regulate the systems of the body, and actually create an electromagnetic energy field about the body. Yeah. The chakras are real, but they're deeper than what I learned when I went through the classes on that. They're actual biological neuroplex energy centers. It's important to understand that because if you blow that off, then you won't understand why you're doing blessings of the energy centers. Once you realize that, excuse me, once I realized that these are real neuroplexes in the body, all of a sudden it gave me more value to put my mind, my awareness on those centers in my body so that where the attention goes, energy flows, right? So that they will get the attention and charge up and heal by drawing in. Pretty cool stuff. That is profoundly new information to me when I started doing Dr. Joe's work. So be careful what you think, because what you think is driving energy into your body, causing an energy emotion to be recorded in your appropriate energy centers. And when they get recorded there, they will replay throughout your life. So if you go around your life saying, I'm underpaid, I'm unappreciated, I'm this, I am, anytime you say I am, be wary. I have tried to stop using that expression. I am a husband, I am a worker, I am a driver, I am. Stop that, right? It's hard to do because it's so embedded in my cultural language. It's hard for me to do. Instead of saying, I am this kind of worker, say, I do that kind of work. The I do that kind of work is an honest and correct statement. When you say, I am a worker, that is not a correct statement. That's not being honest because that is not what you am. How's that for college English? That is not who or what you are. You are not that. You are not the work you do. That's the work you do. I like to work on wood and build stuff with wood. I got saws and stuff like that. I am not a woodworker. I am an energy being that does woodworking. And I find that rather tricky to get into my lingo. Okay, so I've said that piece. Down to the bottom of 115, those neuropeptides signal hormone centers, in the case, turning on adrenal glands in the third energy center. As the adrenal glands release their hormones, you're feeling pretty ticked off. And you broadcast a specific energy signature through the third energy center that, in effect, carries the message. Send me another reason to feel the way I'm feeling. So you get just what you don't want. As you broadcast, I am angry, your body goes, okay. And you get more reasons, you draw to you that which you are. That is a principle that will go through this book, all the way through the book. If you keep saying, I am, the spirit, the energy will go, okay, here's more. Your brain monitors your chemical state. And the moment you feel angry, it's going to think more corresponding thoughts equal to how you feel. My boss is such a jerk. You feel that way, you will draw to you the frequencies that make you feel that way. That's the equation. Likes attract. Be careful what you're putting out. That's part of the goal of this work, is to break the habit of being ourselves and to learn how to do that. To learn to forgive our lives so that we can change. The cycle can go on for decades. That I read that and circled it because that was me. I had anger at things that was 40 years ago when I started reading this. And I'm going, golly, can I ever let go of this stuff? I didn't know how to let go of my anger. It just made sense to me. That's who I said I was. I am angry. There it is. I just committed myself to something and I carried that statement for 40 plus years. Wow, talking about an equation that says, Ray, you're nuts. You're crazy. But I didn't know how to let go of it until I got to Joe's work. Yeah, you can hold on to this stuff forever and have those same painful chemicals all your life. No one made me stay that way. I did. The body becomes the mind of anger. There it is, right there on page 117. He was talking about me. So the anger is no longer in the mind that's in your brain, the 5% that you thought was controlling everything, but instead the emotion of anger becomes stored as energy in the mind body, the 95% of your mind that's subconscious, that's controlling you. That's me. That's what I did. You know, it amazes me that I can pick up a book that's sold around the planet and read a story that portrays me. That's one of the things I like about Dr. Joe's work is that it's so human. It's not special this or special that. He teaches this around the planet to every culture on the planet. I mean, he even has a conference once a year in Dubai. My goodness, they even receive it. Why? Because it's not about religion. It's about healing. Love that about this work. So if you start thinking, here's an expression that I had, God is going to punish me. Nobody loves me. I'm worthless. Guess what I attracted to my life? This begins to produce biological effects. Since you feel guilty in your gut, you may start to feel nausea at work. These passions of darkness, like he's talking about, like I carry disruption in your body. They do. But why am I talking about this so much? Because if you're going to change something in this hand, you got to have something in this hand to replace it with. But if you think this guy's going to change and you're not conscious of it, now he hides. You have to become aware of what you want to change. So you change your drive, you change your anger, you change your passions, and you start reprogramming those nexus neurons. Those biological reactions will cause you to keep feeling a certain way, and you're going to think more corresponding thoughts equal to that feeling. And now you're storing energy in that first center, and you're broadcasting a vibration signature carrying a specific message from that center into the energy field of your body. And your body's remembering it. That's how it works. It's the same system when we get to the conversation to the other side of the pendulum. If you are overly lustful, overly preoccupied by others as sexually desirable, your energy is stuck in the first center. If you experience an overabundance of guilt, sadness, shame, unworthiness, you may be stuck in the second center. And if you have problems with anger, aggression, frustration, your past, your energy may be stuck in your third center. Think about your own diagnosis. You might come up with just about where it was. One of the things that I learned when I was first starting this, you could never tell it now, but I was turned off in my fifth center. Me to talk in public like this? Are you kidding me? I wouldn't even tell somebody my name. And if you got my name, you wouldn't get my last name. I mean, just, I wouldn't. It was, no, you don't need to know who I am. Go away. Now I'm on world YouTube telling everybody with it, anybody from around the world, hey, I'm Ray Dwyer. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation group. Nah, you know, big change. But I had to learn to release that center. To be clear, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever get sick. What I'm saying is that when you are out of balance, it's because those first three energy centers are out balance. That's the symptom. Down on page 120. The breath technique I'm about to teach you gives you a way to liberate that trapped energy that's stored in the first three centers so it can be freed to flow up into the brain where it came. There is a purpose and goal for these energy center blessings. So put your attention on them and release what you're holding on to. Okay? No one can do it for you. You have to choose. I release. We've talked about this before. It's not about justice. It's about freedom. If someone commits a crime against you, call the police, lock their butt in jail, but you still forgive. Not not them, this. You release this from the anger that may have happened from the trauma that you went through. Releasing your heart is the goal to be free. As that first word says, takes courage to just let go and become who you truly already are. The breath is a way to pull the mind out of the body. You'll be using your body as an instrument of consciousness to ascend your energy, turning those survival emotions into creative emotions. That's on page 120. Some of you, this may be new with, and it's going to challenge you. You're in kind of well, in the early part of the year, we went into details on this. And this, jump in and go for it. Over on page 123, he had been discussing that the human experience is like a bar magnet. Now, that was a new thought for me, too. I was amazed at how many new thoughts I had when I was going through. I was a mature man. I'm an educated guy. I thought I knew something about mysticism by the time I got here. And again, he comes up with ideas that go, say what? Yeah, the human experience really is, if the equipment is sensitive enough, it really is a bit of a bar magnet. And it really is a dual torus field, not a singular one. If you look at pictures of the magnetic field of the Earth, a lot of times they show almost look like a sliced apple. And they say the human experience is a little bit like that. Well, that's too simplified. Let me give you a little bit better image of that. If you take that sliced apple and twist it so that the field does not go straight up, but kind of wraps around, spiraling, and then goes down, then wraps around, spiraling, and then goes down. That's called a torus. I think the torus is what it's called. But the human experience is dual. As one is going spiraling, going up, there's another one spiraling, going down. And as one goes up, whether it goes, so we are a balanced torus field, dual torus field. That's more realistic. Of course, that in itself is also extremely simplified, but that's more of how complicated our energy is. And but in that double torus energy field, you get all that? We are also a magnetic field. We really are. And if with the sensitive instruments, they've proven this. Now, it's like a piece of ordinary metal. The magnetic is lost in charge. When we are coherent, when our mind is at peace, have you ever seen pictures of a EEG where it shows the brain popping around here and there and here and there and there and there? That is a picture of a mind that's incoherent. That is really a picture of a standard mind. I mean, people are proud of the fact that they got busy things. They got a whole list of things going. I can do 6 things at once, and their head is going this and this and this. To be a good mom, I think that's a trait that's born into women because they got lists going on. They're doing all kind of crazy things. And guys go, what? Because guys like to do one job and pound it to the ground. And women go, and they got this and this and this and this. They go, what are you doing? Drive kind of maxes out a guy to keep up with the women. It really does. But so the goal is to tune that in when you sit and meditate, get peace so that your mind quits doing popcorn and settles in to a coherent heart and mind. When you do that, all of a sudden, all this scattered energy comes in and you have a good magnetic field that draws to you in a strong way what you put out. When you're scattered, you're still drawing to you, but your signal is so weak and so scattered that nothing is really very energetic. Because 1 minute you're saying yes, and the next minute you're saying no. And so you're not really manifesting. Okay. So that's what the figure is about on pages 22 and 23, 5.4 and 5.5. The breath, I'm over on page 124. The breath does not, excuse me, the breath does just that. It gives us a way to pull the mind out of the body and to move all that stored energy from the first three energy centers up the spine to the brain, restoring the electromagnetic field surrounding the body. Once that happens, we can use that energy for things other than survival. I'm wondering, there's an expression there that was a struggle for me when I first started. The breath does not, the breath does that. It gives us a way to pull the mind out of the body. That's an important concept to get in this work. What is he talking about? I'm pulling my mind out of my body. The mind is attached to my cortex, right? Well, yeah, sort of. Do you remember? I'm looking for, I want to get the number right. Yeah, I thought so. And You're the Placebo, we had a chapter called The Quantum Mind versus the cortex mind. Yeah. The cortex mind is this in action. When this shuts down, your cortex mind gets quiet. Then what happens? Well, depending on what and who and how you've lived your development, then the quantum mind becomes aware. When you go, remember the expression that Dr. Joe says, nobody, no place, no time. Then what are you? Where are you? What is acting in that place? That is your quantum mind. Your quantum mind is the active consciousness of your spirit. Remember, mind is consciousness in action. The quantum mind is your quantum self, your spirit self in action. That is what mystics tune to. When they go in and they shut this off and their body calms down, their breath goes down to like four, or rather the heartbeat goes down to like 4 beats a minute, just really calm. This is turned off. They're up here and they're functioning by their quantum mind. So let me go back to the statement. The breath does just that. It gives us a way to pull the mind out of the body and move all that stored energy from the first three centers up the spine. The breath gives us a way of deactivating this survival mind and moving up into our quantum being, moving our conscious awareness, ourself, into a higher brain. Now, a lot of that is my interpretations to what he says, but the quantum mind is right out of his books. So when we do this, when we start learning this breath, and he says, pull that up, he is not telling you to look down with your attention and try to will it up. That is not what he's saying. You move into the awareness, take that awareness and become tuned to your heart from behind. I have an image of me behind my body, and then I will myself raise that energy in me. That's my type of imagery that I do. Each one of you will focus and develop that. That works for you a little bit different. But that's about what I have. On page 125. Inside this closed system is spine, I have a hard time, cerebro, there it is, cerebrospinal fluid that's filtered from the blood in the brain. There, in your spinal cord, there's a little fluid, and it's not there just to lubricate. It's a pressure valve between your sacrum that triangle at the base of your spine that wiggles when you inhale and that puts pressure all the way to the top. And when you breathe and release, that pressure increases and puts just a little bit of pressure here. And that's an important point that we'll get to. Every time you inhale, that sacrum bone flexes back slightly. And every time you exhale, it flexes forward just a bit. And that pushes the cerebral spinal fluid against your brain. Somewhere in here, it says that fluid does a full cycle in your body about every 12 hours, depending on the activity of the individual. It's not just a seal pressure. It's actually a little journey it takes up carrying chemicals, hormones, stuff up and then back down. What comes to mind that's worth considering? Do you remember the story last couple of weeks ago when we said water holds memory? As this spinal fluid comes up your body, it is taking in the memory of all of those energy centers, processing it through the glands in our brain, and brings it back down clean. Something to consider. The movement of your sacrum back and forth as you slowly breathe in and out, along with the sutures of the skull opening and closing, propagate a wave within this fluid of this closed system, and it slowly pumps that cerebral spinal fluid up your spine all the way to the brain. You'll see it takes 12 hours to make a complete circuit. So in essence, you flush your brain twice a day. Isn't that interesting? Did y'all know that before you started this work? Even those guys with histories of meditation, I bet you didn't know that one. That is cool stuff. And yet it plays a part of why we do this. Because we're doing this to help clear the chemical memories of our body so that we can have peace, empty hands when we go into the kingdom. Now imagine you then place your attention on the top of your head. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So if you put your attention at the top of your head, that would become the target for moving energy. We'll talk about that later, where you just kind of give yourself a memory here. Now that you touch it a few times, you can put your hand down and your skin has a little leftover sense to it. So you can hold your attention there for a few moments. Now think about taking one slow, steady breath through your nose and at the same time squeezing and holding the muscles of your perineum, then those of your lower abdomen, and then those of your upper abdomen, all the way following your breath up your spine, through your chest, through your throat, through your brain, all the way to the top of your head. And feel the attention that all of this here and release. Any memories that come that are stirred by doing this, release, release, you release. The goal, the expression I like is I release. I want clean hands. I don't want the illusion of holding on to anything. I am here. I go before the gate with empty hands. I go as a pauper before the gate as empty hands. I own nothing. I own no prestige of myself, no claim to anything in my hands. That is the imagery I use. And I'm received as a prince in the kingdom, which is my true identity. One last point, then we'll talk a minute on page 128. That's significant because cerebral fluid is made up of proteins and salts and solutions. And the moment proteins and salts dissolve in solution, they become charged. So you're not just pushing a lubricant oil up you, you are pushing charged particles up your electric system. You know, the electromagnetic thing where you push a ferrite metal through a coil, it creates a charge. That is built into the human experience. Isn't that cool? On page 128, there's an image of a spiral going up the core. And there's a image of the field. On page 128, there's an image of the field of the stored energy on the body in the brain on page 128. Like I said, this image that shows on 128, I don't really care for. I like the image. If he was to twist that torus field so those lines would spiral around like that, I think it would be more instructive. Eh, you know, that's a pretty minor thing. Once you accelerate these charged particles in one direction up the spine, the resulting inductance field will receive the current of information flowing in the brain down through the body. So you create an intelligent, information-filled inductance field. You know what, as electronic tech, you know what I know about the inductance field? Is that when you let go of it, all the information collapses in. So this induction field is a two-way field. It builds up and collapses back in. It builds up and collapses back in. Okay. All right. I think that's a good place to stop and say hello to people. The next section we'll talk about is evolving the brain, evolving the energy in the brain. Well, we had some interesting points. We talked about the spinal fluid. We talked about breathing. We talked about the magnetic field of the body. We talked about the torus field and stuff like that. Anybody got any comments to talk about what we've covered so far today? To add to
Yeah, I
that?
mean, I'll share something. I mean, I think that from what I'm hearing here and what you've said, Ray, that the heart is the key to it, and that makes total sense to me. That you know, just what even what Carol just talked about, the just healing the heart where you really are letting it go. And that's the part that I've never been able to really completely do, I think.
Right. Well, it was a big deal for me. For those who don't know me, I'm a military veteran and I am military certified PTSD. I am so you're being taught by a certified crazy person.
Where did you serve?
2 years in Vietnam. I'm an old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you
And
been to Dr. Joe's live
oh yeah, I've
events?
been to 3 of his week-long conferences. It's quite an event. That first one is a mind-blowing event. Once you do it once, then you're a little bit prepared, but nothing can prepare you for that first day. I'm telling you, I can't exaggerate enough for you to. I've been to full-blown church revivals where everybody's jumping up and down. They got nothing over that first day of Dr. Joe's events. I'm telling you, it will give you another sense. But yeah, I highly encourage people to go to those events. It's a life-changing, mind-bending, mind-altering event. And you will see things. There is hardly ever an event that Dr. Joe in his meditations doesn't see somebody right in front of people, right in real time, profoundly heal. Right there, right on the floor, right in front of people. It is just mind-altering. And so this isn't something this will heal you long term, or if you get it right, it will happen like now. I've seen it. Wow. Yeah, it's just like it's crazy. Nancy, I see your hand up. Thank you.
I was wondering, I'd never heard that about the cerebral spine fluid and flushing out our brain before. That's awesome. and then the little bone in the back. There's so much going on there to learn about. I was a little confused, but maybe that's the next chapter. So I have stuck energy in my second center. I'm pretty sure I've been dealing with a lot of guilt and shame the past few years, but it's definitely releasing now. I mean, it's definitely like, woohoo, it's like leaving. But do I, so what, my cerebral spinal fluid, as long as I was focusing, or Nancy was focusing on that for the past few years, it just kept recycling those energies. And then to get rid of that, do I focus on releasing it, like focusing my attention on the cerebral spinal fluid to get that to see the two different phases of what I was doing? Is that what I'm
As
working
these
for?
energies come to your conscious mind, don't put them in a box and put them away. Become very conscious of them. Receive the message of that they are. You're a terrible person, receive it, and then let it go. I
Okay.
release you. I like the word forgive because there's more heart in it than the word release. If I say, what are you doing? You're releasing the energy. But in saying that, there's no heart, there's no emotion in that.
Yeah.
When I say, because I get, you're a terrible person, you did this shameful things, look what you did. And I did. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
there's a reason I got PTSD. You know what I mean? Okay. So
Yeah.
uh, I would forgive in the release. Release
My,
my heart. Remember, this is what I'm forgiving, not the event. I'm forgiving my heart to release my heart of the energy. Someone once asked me, because I had lots of stuff, how do I choose which one to deal with? You choose the one that's in your face at that moment. Why is that? Because evidently there's an emotional tie to it right now, or
yeah.
you wouldn't be responding to it.
Right.
We may have 100 other things, but
Right.
this one right here, and I
Is
learned
right
to
there.
reinterpret it when it's in my face, going, you
Mhm.
ever have a child pulling your sleeve, going, acting mom, and you as a mom know what that child needs is just loving and attention.
Mhm.
He's acting out, okay, but you as a caring mom go, okay, you need attention, come here, and you give him a big hug, and he just kind of
Mhm.
mellows. That's the solution to this. As this goes, yeah, you're a terrible person. You see what you did. You caused that. You really screwed up with that. You go, okay, I forgive you. Remember, this is just an energy. The event happened 20, 30, 40, forever ago. It's not about the event. It's about this energy you're bound in you. It's like its own little life.
And then one's for ourselves, or really kind of the same as my ex-husband 35 years ago. It's still just a little pocket
Right.
of energy.
Because you
So
have an injustice in you that you're never let go of.
yeah, well,
Oh
that
man,
those
I,
were
I was
good.
a guy that
Oh,
demanded justice. I'm telling you,
oh,
I can
I'm
relate
not
to
like
that.
that at all.
Oh,
In fact, when you guys said you're angry, I've like never been angry in my life, hardly at all. But
you
I
had
developed,
injustice.
but I had injustices, yes, and
That is
I
a
think that
hidden anger.
well, right,
That
and I think I was suppressing, like it was anger was bad. Like there's a bunch of us that, like, I always think of
right.
fear. Like,
You
people are in
wouldn't
fear,
let
they
the
either fight
expression
or
of
they,
anger.
yeah,
You wouldn't let the expression because you're a nice lady.
yeah,
But all that was cooking in you, just like hidden anger.
yeah.
So
So now,
when this comes
oh,
up and then injustice presents,
yes,
it's in your face. You gotta just
yeah,
say, I release you. I release you. I forgive
okay,
you. And I
okay,
release this. I hold no claim to this justice anymore. I am free. Remember, it's
okay.
not about the event at this point. You have one goal, and that's to have empty hands.
Okay. And then I get the one for like my ex-husband and other things, but for me, like the guilt, and the shame, uh, how, do I forgive the event? Like,
Has nothing to do with the event. Let me
so
make
yeah,
it
so
clear.
how do I
I
just
don't
the
care if
one?
you did it. I don't care if you did it. they did it, or you were in the wrong place and the sky fell on you. You know, sometimes you're just in the wrong place. I don't care. The goal is to release your heart.
Okay. So,
However the story presents, release your heart.
okay.
I had stuff
heart.
that I meditated
Okay.
on and I couldn't get free. So I would develop a story in my mind of walking into an image of a river, and I called it the river of life. And I would
Oh,
pull the
that's nice.
rubble and dirt off me, and I tell the river, wash this away, wash
Oh,
this away, wash this away.
oh, I like that a lot.
And I
I
would
can
see
wash
the
my
rubble
shame.
wash away from me. And I would,
Oh, that's good.
now these traumas have a way of echoing back. Don't get upset with it. That's
Yeah.
the nature of this beast.
Takes time.
It
It
takes,
depends
and when
how,
it comes up, just always say, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. And then
oh,
remind this what you're becoming. Did you see what I'm becoming? Look what I'm working. Look at this. I know I am an energy being and I can release you. And you say it without, because remember, the goal is clean hands. Don't add energy to it. Just, I'm
right.
cleaning. Now, I had another image that I used sometimes when that one didn't work. I would see myself before a campfire trying to create a ritual to get rid of these things that I had put on me for all my life. And I would stand before the ritual or sit in meditation before my imaginary campfire. And I would put things in the campfire and watch
Mm,
my past burn.
yeah, yeah, that's nice. I sometimes
What,
picture like energies and then I'm like cutting them away from
yes,
myself, you know?
whatever it takes.
Yeah,
Remember, you are the reasons for these energies, not the event. There's
right.
terrible things happen around the world all the
Yeah,
time. They're not
yeah,
affecting us. Why?
yeah.
Because we're not holding on to them. We didn't give them meaning in our heart. It is
Mm-hmm.
up to our hearts to let go of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay?
I forgot my other question. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
later. Thank you.
So anyway, so once I got rid of my history, I found I still had attention in me. And at that point, I discovered my childhood. And at that
Oh,
point,
mine
I
was
was
great.
able to tune in to my childhood. And I saw myself as a 6-year-old boy sitting in
Mm.
the corner of his little room with his arms folded. And I presented
Uh-huh.
myself to him in the spirit. And he didn't even look
Mm.
up. He says, don't look at me. Don't talk to me.
Mm. Wow.
That was how I was greeted by my 5, 6-year-old self. The reason I
Mm.
know the age, because I recognize the room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Wow.
I was there in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take, it took weeks of visiting my younger self.
Mm.
Slowly but slowly, I told him how much I loved him. I told him
Mm.
how proud I was of him. I told him he's going to grow to be a good man who's loved by his wife and
Mm.
his children. I kept telling him good things.
Mm.
And he never heard as a child.
Thank you.
And slowly
Yeah.
he
I,
relaxed
yeah.
until one day I came in and sat down and I looked around to deal with and my mind was quiet for the first time in my life.
Wow. Wow. Huh. And see, I had a great childhood overall, really. I'm very blessed that way, but it started late teens when I tried to move out on my own and things like that. I'm just married a person that wasn't very loving and put me down a lot, and I still feel really a lot of like, how could I have been so stupid? But I have to go back to that girl, that young girl at 19, and say, I forget you're gonna, I forgive you. I gotta release this.
This is
I
what you
forgive.
forgive here. This is
Yeah, I
what you
forgive me.
release.
Yeah.
Right. I forgive me for making bad decisions and holding this pain. I forgive me for holding this pain. I release this pain. I release it, release it. No strings attached. The goal is empty hands.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You cannot drag the past into the kingdom. It won't go. That's what you're doing when you do this. You're holding on to the past. It won't go into the kingdom. The goal is empty hands. And that's what the word surrender is. Surrender is the ultimate empty hands. That's why that first word is courage, because that survival mind doesn't want to let go. You spent your whole life being tough on the survival. And now you're going to sit down and say you're fired, take a break. He goes, no, I'm not. I'm in charge. Remember, it says here, that survival mind rules us by 95% of the time. He's not going to just roll over. You're going to have to really draw up that energy and say, no, I woke up. I'm home. I am. Then, with enough heart and enough releasing, that survival mind, we go, okay. Adriana, I see your hand up again.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Ray, for all your share. And it is in the book, so you're not making it anything up. And that expansion of the skull, right? So it happens, and but I have to remember that sometimes it needs some care as well. Like physically, I need some care, right?
Yes.
Like if I had a concussion, I need some care on that.
Absolutely.
If I had, yes, if I have PTSD, I need some help, right? Professional help. So that is going to help me, because definitely traumas, uh, toxins as well. So that's 3 T's: traumas, toxins, like the sugar that I'm eating. It's not as bad as the drugs that I used to use, but still there is a little bit of that. And thoughts, right? If I still keep attaching to the thoughts of like my marriage of 10 years ago, divorce, so it's like you said, it's going to drag me down. It's not going to allow me
Right.
to like do that spiral upward, right? Um, so yeah, I think that's something that as well, like it can affect me physically. And again, like I'm this work, I don't have to do it by myself only. Like there's people that can support me on this path.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I want to add one more thing that I don't remember whether we're going to touch this later on in this chapter. When we start exercising that cerebral spinal fluid and it pushes on the base of the brain, there's something that is pressured when you do that. The pineal gland. The pineal gland is a piezoelectric radio transducer you've got in your brain. Say what? I worked in very high frequency electronics. I did. I started building crystal radios when I was a teenager, and I loved it. And that's what I did for a living. I had a DoD clearance, and we worked on the latest and greatest, coolest electronics on the market. And when I read that, my head went tilt. What do you mean I got a radio in my brain? Yes, it's not imaginary. If you go right about here, you go in here and right about here, you've got about a pea-sized organ that's got little tiny crystals in it, and it's piezoelectric. What piezo means is that when you put a little bit of pressure on it, it creates an electric field. Piezo means pressure field, electric field. When you do this breath and you consciously cycle that up and do a little bit extra push than normal, you're putting a little bit of pressure on that pineal gland and it electrifies, it turns on. So when you on, off, you're turning on your pineal gland doing that. There's a whole chapter of the pineal gland later on in this book. And I couldn't believe. I mean, as a guy who spent his life working in high frequency electronics, I could not swallow that one. I had to go get references and study other stuff and go, holy cow, this is real. How come no one told us that when we studied biology in school and stuff like that? That's profound. And that is part of what you do when you do that breathing, is you put pressure in that area and kind of turn on your pineal gland. Cool. Okay. Let me start the next section of this chapter. Thank you for the great discussion. Some real sensitive stuff. I'm on page 131. Evolving the energy to the brain. Okay. Once this energy becomes activated, the sympathetic nervous system turns on and the energy begins to move up from the body's lower 3 energy centers to the brain. But instead of the body being aroused because of some external condition, you are turning on the sympathetic nervous system by passionately engaging the breath from within. You are activating the body's reaction, not because you're getting stimulus in senses, but because the action of this energy and this breath in your body. Once this energy that was initially stored in the body enters the brain produces gamma brainwave patterns. I underline that because that is a conditional thing. Not everybody reaches the gamma event. That is a mind-blowing, life-changing event if you ever get there. But it's real. Gamma brainwaves, which I call superconsciousness, are notable not only because they produce the highest amount of energy of all the brainwaves, but also because that energy comes from within the body instead of released from a reaction to outside. So he kind of qualifies that saying this is the highest level of brainwave, and most people don't ring that bell. While gamma waves create a similar type of arousal in the brain, and it just goes on more talking about gamma waves. On page 132, it shows that the wave pattern is even more excited than beta waves. Just as a quick review, beta wave is your conscious working. There's high beta, mid beta, and low beta. And like in this comfortable conversation, we're kind of in mid beta, or some of you might be real comfortable in low beta, and you're just listening and enjoying the conversation. When you get stressed and your body locks down and you're really working, you're in high beta, and it's a very high active brainwave. As you go into meditation and you simply relax, your beta goes down, and you can just kind of, like, sometimes you're watching TV and it's just, you're just kind of dummy. I call it dummying up to the television. You know what I mean? You might go into alpha wave where you're just kind of quiet. As you go in even deeper, like in you're meditating in meditation, you'll go into alpha theta. Now that's the magic stage. That's where a lot of meditation work gets done because you're conscious, but your body's no longer resisting and your energy is all turned in, and you're in that alpha theta wave. One of the coolest things that I've learned about being able to consciously go into alpha theta wave is that that is the brainwave of some dogs. That is the weird brainwave that you can intend, you can heart share an intent with a dog. I've stumbled onto it. I can't do it on call, but I've done it sometimes and I wanted. And it's really cool that the wildlife about you kind of lives in this low alpha theta state, and you can touch them. If they're stressed and they're busy and they're doing something just like us, they tuned us out. But if they're on a cruise mode and they're just kind of sit there, you can tune in to them through your heart in this low theta wave thing. That's where they live because they're sensing their environment in that, and they're quiet. They're not stressing with thoughts and paying bills and stuff. They're just enjoying life, and you can touch it, and they will turn and look at you like, what? Where'd you come from? It's the coolest thing in the world because it's a natural part of life in that state. So lower theta is deep meditation. And then when you get below lower theta, you go unconscious. That doesn't mean you're not meditating, but that's where most people go asleep. And you see, people always meditating. No, you weren't. You were asleep. How do you know? You were snoring. You don't snore when you're meditating. You snore when you sleep because your breath does that to you. Okay. No, you weren't meditating. You went to sleep. Okay. But sometimes you go unconscious in meditation and wake up totally, with a real experience. Gamma is when you go down theta, down delta, and you do something really special and you let that connection to your body go, and that energy coalesces into a single clean energy, and it just, instead of being dispersed, it comes and it blows up, and you get this energy called gamma. And you can find patterns in other books where the energy just blows up and people have a total consciousness experience. There's stories in the earlier we talked about a lady who was sitting in conference. She had a mask on and she could see in all directions in her room. Dr. Joe could walk around the room and she'd wave to him behind him. He'd wave, hi, and she'd go, because she could see him. She was totally conscious because you become free of your body. Your consciousness, and yet free of the body. That's quantum mind. Now, there's an interesting picture on page 133. This is the prana tube. Those who have been with me for a while have seen me talk about me moving my energy field like this, because this is what I'm talking about. I've got such a clear image in me of this energy in me that when I try to express energy, my energy comes up. And I do this not just because I'm mocking a picture. It's just that I've got such a clear image of me, of this energy field. I close my eyes and I just see this and I do, okay, this energy comes down me. That's just what I so have experienced. And this prana picture on page 133 is what I'm illustrating by my hand movement. Okay. As you do this powerful breathing technique, you are drawing the energy that's been stored in all those lower centers, the energy you use for orgasm, making a baby, digesting a meal, run from a predator instead of releasing it. In fact, there's a tube of energy or light called prana tube running along your spine. Prana is a Sanskrit word for the life force. I think that's a perfect word for it. Because when I get tuned in, I feel that energy pour into me, and I just see it. It's so clear to me. I can, so anyway, now when you see me do that, that's my reference. That's just my explanation, because my reference is my experience. About this breathing on page 134. It's important to add here that this is not passive breath. It's an extremely active, passionate process. It's full of intention, elevated emotions. Remember, evolving this energy takes a level of intensity greater than the body as the mind, greater than your addiction to your past. The first couple of years I was trying to do this, I used to say I went to war on my past. And I went to war on my anger. And I was told by a number of people they didn't like that expression. And I struggled with explaining to people that that's how intense I used to be. This sentence says, remember, evolving this energy takes a level of intensity that's greater than the body as the mind, greater than your addiction to any survival emotion. I had to work up an earnestness in me greater than the stuff I was holding on to. And I had some stuff. And so I used the expression, I'm going to war in my past. Because I was going to be intolerant of myself holding on. I was not going to when I get confronted, I was not going to let it bully me anymore. So that was how I handled it. I say it like I handled it that way so that you know I'm not telling you this is the way. This was just my way. Each of you have your own passions and hurts. Each of you have your own special heart center. Each of you will solve it according to your heart. I hope you don't have the pains, the ugliness in your life that I did. But that's why I used that expression back then. That energy then passes through the thalamic gate, up the thalamus, located in the midbrain, which serves as a junction box. Next, all that stored energy moves directly into your higher brain center, the neocortex. That's when gamma waves begin to occur. When you get it right, you're drawing that energy up from one center to another. That brought something to mind. I was at one of the conferences and I was sitting next to a couple people talking, and I saw somebody breathing with the heads down. And they asked me, why am I not getting it? He says, well, because you're giving attention to it instead of awareness. How can you tell? Because your head's down. People who put awareness in it tend to have their head back. How do you mean? I say, let's just try this. I want you to put your attention on your stomach. And I saw him put his head down. And everybody, do you see what he's doing? Yeah. Okay, now I touched him. Okay, now come out. Now I want you to move into awareness of the space about you. Okay. And instantly his chin goes up as he thought about space. And I said, now think about the space behind you. Now think about the space around your waist. I said, see the difference? When you're in space, the chin naturally goes up. When you're in attention, the chin goes down. They said, why is that? Because attention is forebrain. Awareness is cerebellum. There's the difference. The awareness is out of the old brain as you become spatially aware for your safety and your stuff. You think I'm kidding? Go into a closet, turn out the lights, and feel the energy in your head rush back as you stretch, dispense the space in your closet. You know you're in the closet. You know everything's space. You know where everything is. You could pick a shirt out of the hanger. But still, your mind rushes back as you try to sense the space. And when you do, watch what your chin does. It goes up. That's the human experience. Mm, 135, there's an interesting picture that says how energy from the body enters the brain through the reticular activating system. That's that pressure going up and down. And it just shows it comes up into the limbic and kind of puts pressure on that whole bell, including your pineal gland. It's mentioned here in this picture. Over on page 136, embracing elevated emotions. I just got through telling you not to pay attention to your emotions. Now I'm telling you, embrace the emotions. What's going on here? There is an emotion Because let's talk about what is emotion. Emotion is the effect of a disturbance in the body. What caused the disturbance in the body is my next question. Is it a memory of the past that you stored? Or is it an effect of new energy coming in your body, disturbing your body, causing an emotion? You've just read how the breathing exercise in this chapter pulls your mind out of the body as it liberates stored energy from the first three energy centers, these centers of survival. Okay, and it elevates those. That is the environment that signals the gene. As this arises, we're disturbing the environment of our body, and our genes in a moment, notice, change their emission, what they're releasing. Very cool stuff. So when elevated, so when you embrace that elevated emotion and think thoughts that are greater than self-limiting ones that keep you stuck in the past, your body begins to prepare chemically for the future. Now, that's a pretty cool statement. By thinking new thoughts, you create chemicals in your body that prepare your body for an event that hasn't happened. And your genes, because the environment of your body has changed chemically, start producing different proteins than they did just an hour before. Why? Because their environment changed. Your genes release proteins according to their inner body environment. That's their job. They are not on-off switches. They are little general processors, and they produce different proteins according to the environment. I thought that was cool. I didn't know that until I got into Dr. Joe's work. The ultimate change is when you change your energy, changing your genes, changing your chemicals, and changing your genes. Then you've really changed. That new energy can then carry new information, a new consciousness, or a set of intentions and thoughts. The more elevated the emotion, the faster the frequency, because it's got greater intensity. And the more you feel like the energy instead of matter, the more energy becomes available to create more coherent energy field, shifting further away from the disease and more toward health. As you change your energy in that higher frequency, you add energy and frequency, higher frequency into your body. It instructs your genes to release different proteins, and you change your body away from the frequency of sickness into a frequency of health. Dr. Joe says in a few places in his books, sickness is a lowering of energy in the body, frequency and energy in the body. When you raise the frequency and energy in the body, you reduce the sickness in your body. That simple. I guess that's not really simple, is it? So in order for you to change your body into new genetic expression, the inner emotion you create has to be greater than the emotion from the past. There it is again. Don't go casually into this good fight. Use passion and intensity and intent. The energy of your empowerment or the amplitude of your inspiration must be greater than your pain and sadness. Don't go casually into this. You've heard me say it before. How bad do you want it? If you call me and you just, well, I don't feel good, I'll just say, so what? If you're not just, then it's not going to break through your intense past. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to be pounding on heaven's gates. Now, I know there's a scripture that says, not by power, but by might. And it's a true statement. But if your intent and intensity and heart isn't strong enough to overcome what you're holding on to, you're not going to overcome it, at least not in the short term. And it says here, that's how the body works. It's the human experience. Anybody, anywhere on this planet, that's the human experience. Now, I know some people have had very blessed lives and they're just going, well, I just want to be mystical. Well, good for you. Then there's some people who are raving crazies. I can relate more like that. But the system is the same. If you want to change, you've got to want the new you more than you're angry at the old you. That's how it works. That's the equation. You got to scale. Which one do you want more? When you've convinced your inner self that you want that new you more, then slowly but surely, this old you will get put in the back. It will test you 1,000 times, figuratively speaking. But that's the equation. On page 138, there's a long list of hormones that change when you get this. It changes everything from blood regulations to immune regulations to all kind of stuff. And that's what people change in meditation, not therapy at a hospital, in meditation. Finally, by embracing these unlimited emotions instead of the same limited ones, when you understand that you are signaling new genes and making new proteins that are responding for the change in the structure and function of your body, you can assign more meaning to what you're doing. That leads to a greater intention, which creates even greater outcome. That's on page 139. When you get it right, you can do wild things. Some of you don't know me. For 9 years, I was called phase 4 melanoma cancer. For 9 years, they told me I was going to die of cancer. I was getting radiated and cut every 6 months. I was blooming weeds, deep weeds. And I had a meditation that ended it, not healed it, ended it. The reason why I said ended, because I had a surgery scheduled 2 weeks from that meditation. And when they cut me open, they woke me up and said, what's going on here, Ray? Why? Because all the tumors in your body are dead. They're already gray. They're no longer alive. You can tell a cancer tumor from a cyst or anything else because a cancer tumor has two things. It has a blood vessel and it has nerves because they're living cells. All of that in me had died. I was 2 weeks after that meditation. They cut it open and it was just an ugly yellow, ugly gray mass. And they cut it up, healed it up, and closed it up, and it was gone. A couple months later, I went in for my annual September exam, which I did for the last 10 years. And this was the 10th anniversary of my diagnosis. And that was the first time in 10 years. They went in and they checked me out from hair to toes in very personal ways. And it was the first time in 10 years I was given an all clear. It can happen abruptly. And then I had more experiences, and I don't want to go into all of it, but then I had more experiences. But that's how abrupt it can be when you get it right. On the bottom of page 139. So I invite you, I like that expression, I invite you to surrender to the process and fully engage in the experience. Just jump in. Reconditioning the body to the new mind meditation. Okay, let's talk a little bit, and then I'll just talk about the meditation. We'll wrap it up. Anybody want to talk about what I just read? I got pretty passionate about it, because it's really important that you understand how the mechanism, because remember we opened this up with the what, the how, and the why. Now you know how this meditation affects the body. By doing this, you are calling up that energy, up that cerebral spinal fluid. You are affecting your prana channel. You are changing the chemicals that affect your genes, so your genetic expression changes in the moment. And in that moment, to some degree, you heal, because that's its job. Okay, before we get into direct talk of the meditation, anybody would like to add to that little chat? Really? Okay. Let's talk about the meditation then. See you, Bob. Bob, that guy, he's got another chat channel. He has a thing called biohacking. His whole channel is about different things that help heal the body, from diet to therapies to all kind of stuff. He's kind of a cool dude. Okay. So next time you come on, you can say, hi, Bob. Okay. Is he still there? No, he's already gone. Okay, let's get into what the meditation is about. I'm on page 140, heading Reconditioning the Body to a New Mind. Before we start the formal meditation, we're going to do some practice sessions, is how he begins. He didn't do that in the meditation, but he's just doing as he discusses it. When you're ready to begin, lift up your perineum, flex that lower muscle, kind of squeeze it down like you're squeezing your butt. That's where you begin. That drives your awareness to that part of your body. Remember, it's not about driving your attention down. It's about first you move into space, then you move your space down and you become aware of it. Then you try to tune in to the field, the space about that space. And I mean it just like I said it. You try, you be, don't try, do. Become aware of the space, of that space. As you feel it, think it, become aware of it. Now contract the same muscles in the perineum. At the same time, contract the muscles of your lower abdomen. Pull the muscles behind your navel in. At the same time, you're squeezing your perineum. Hold it for about 10 seconds and then release it. And then this says, do that about 3 times as you prepare for this meditation. What you're doing is you're getting your consciousness alerted to this. And then you do your third energy center. You pull your perineum. You suck in your midgut. You pull in your solar plexus under your ribs. So now you've got your whole lower center pulled in. Your awareness is sensitive to it. It can feel it. And you hold it for about 10 seconds as you hold your awareness of it through your nose. And then relax. Some people allow for releasing the air through your mouth. When I can, I like to go into my nose, out through my nose, into my nose, out through my nose. That's my preference. Okay. Now we're going to change it up. Take your finger and place it on the top of your head and work your fingernail right into the center of your scalp so you will remember where it feels. Don't hurt yourself. Just give yourself a little skin remembering. Tapping. Give it a memory of where that spot is. Okay, just a few. Now put your hands down. Close your eyes. Lift your perineum, your second energy center. From the back of your head, remember we're doing this in space. Raise it up to your solar plexus, behind your rib cage, in your heart center, your throat center, your perineum, all the way to where that you touch the top of your head. Push on that spot, the top of your head. Hold it there. Hold your awareness at that point on the top of your head, holding all this energy up. Pump it a little bit if you can. A little bit more draw. About 10 seconds. Now gently let it all come back down through your body and release your perineum. Even doing that slow, I get a good feel. Let's do it again. Tap that spot on the top of your head so you can feel the memory of it. Feel the memory of it. Put your hands in your lap. Pull your perineum in. Draw your breath in just a little bit. Your second center. Draw your breath in through that second center. Draw your breath a little more through your solar plexus. Draw more through your heart, your throat, your perineum, all the way to the top. Put your awareness on that spot, that memory spot on the top of your head. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. Feel the point. Hold it. Hold it. Slowly release it from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and release your perineum. Take a breath and release it all. Imagine you were pulling energy up that tube, like drawing fluid up a straw. Imagine you're pulling it up your, I just lost the word, the prana tube, there it is. Pulling it all up. Repeat that a few times. Just do it slowly, do it accurately. Feel yourself release the stress of your energy centers as you pull your attention, your awareness in, releasing the stress of your day. Bring it up to that top of your head. Practice this many times until you're so familiar with these steps. Will be very useful before you begin several of the meditations in this book. Be patient with yourself. Yeah, see, I get a good buzz just doing that. I've done this so many times. My body just knows what I'm trying to do, and I'm there. You are now ready to begin the formal meditation. Remember, that's what we did. We did the same work that we did last week with Blessing of the Energy Center, just shortened. And that prepared us for this really cool work of, of courage. What would it feel like to be fearless? And you're in this place and you imagine, how could I possibly be fearless? And then you remember, I am not this survival mind. I am a divinely inspired, infinite, electrical energy being. I am. And you don't project it, you declare it into yourself. I am. You are now ready to begin. And that's how you can be courageous, because you are not mortal. You are an eternal, luminous, electrical energy being. So you can be courageous. And in that courage, You know you are divinely inspired, so you are nobility of the king. Everything follows. Take this story not as a projection on a wall, but as an instruction to you, your body. I am courageous. I am nobility. I am a son of the Father. And the rest tells the story of that. What I had to learn in doing this is not to project this courageous nobility, all these things outward as if there's a sign here, and if I read it enough times, you'll get into me. No, I am telling me I am courageous. I am nobility. I am genius. Genius is spirit. That's what genie is. Take away this intelligent meaning of that word. I am genie spirit. And being that, freedom is the next word. Take this meditation into you. Be these things according to your life, according to your self. It's really a beautiful meditation. What I'm telling you how to read this, it took me months of doing this meditation before I went, oh, I see something here. So I'm giving you a heads up shortcut to the fast track of the wonders of this beautiful meditation. Now it's time to cultivate several elevated emotions one by one, emotionally rehearsing each. Remember, the more powerful your feelings, the more you are upregulating your genes. The more love and gratitude you stir up, the more health your genes turn on. It's a human experience. It's not woo-woo. Dive in. It's a great experience. You are a lot more than you ever imagined. Come and find it in Dr. Joe's work. Thank you for tonight. Any last comments before I say goodnight?
I can't get my hand up, Ray. It's Connie.
Okay, Connie, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So this really made sense. This breathing that you just did, the holding the breath and going through the energy centers. Now, do you how do you incorporate that, or is that part of the meditations that we listen to, like at the beginning? Do we do that? What we just did, is that part of, does that question make sense of the
It
long
is part of most of the meditations you will get from Dr. Joe. Just like this one starts with a certain amount of breathing energy centers, half of the ones he sells has that introduction. Some of the ones, like the set, a blessing of the energy center set, and there's like 10 of them. I think there's 11th one now. There's like 10 of them. I've got 10, and somebody told me there's another one, a new one. They are all breathing to the max. That is what it's all about. And it will do all kind of chemical stuff to your head.
and the breathing is
Yeah.
done as you said, up the energy centers.
Right.
I'm going to, yeah, I'm starting to get it after, not missing any sessions,
Right.
and just now starting to really get
Remember,
it.
the goal is to let go. We all live in a natural survival state. This is a stressful society, and we're all like this, right? Okay. So when we sit down, the idea is to turn that off, draw these energies back in, repurpose them because the energy can either be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another. Remember, that's science. That's not woo-woo. That is as science as it can get. And that's what we're doing. We're drawing energy this way in, transforming it to do a different job. Okay. And it comes in, and now its job in our body is to heal our body. That's the paradigm. No, that's not the right word. That's the primary purpose of this, is to have a healthy body. So you bring it in and you teach it love, you teach it gratitude, you teach it all these good feelings as it comes up, and it resonates, and you get something new coming back down. Remember, I told you there's two paths, up and down. That's how it works.
Thank
And if
you.
you ever ring that bell, you go, oh, Ray didn't even exaggerate. He didn't even come close. It's more than I can say.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and it's done in most, that's why this is foundational. You learn this and you practice. Like I got a buzz just doing that nice and slow, and just because I pull it in, my body's done it so many times that it knows just what I'm trying to do. And it goes in and everything just kind of relaxes and my head kind of narrows down. And that's all I got to do now. And I'm in it. It's like, um, but it takes practice. Did I get there soon? No, it took me months. In fact, it was a year when I had my first big breakthrough and I learned to surrender, and I'm worthy. If you're new to this, it's worth it, but I don't know how long it will take you to get past your surrender. Some people, Dr. Joe tells stories in this book. The lady tried for 3 years, and then she'd been to a couple of conferences and she was still trying to make it stop. And then one day she was in a conference and she just finally just let go. And boom, she was healed. It was just her fight was over. Sometimes some people can do it in days, weeks, months, some take years. I don't know you. I'm willing to bet you don't know you. I didn't. I didn't know what I was up against. Well, I did sort of. Like I said, I was certified. um, but so you just do it. How much do you want it? Do you want it enough to fight yourself until you succeeded in changing? So yeah, learn that breath, do that breath, know the purpose of the breath. The why is important. If you don't know why, then when your survival mind challenges you, then it will win because you don't know why it's worth its work. Let me tell you the why in my life. I have learned to love without being angry. I have learned to have peace in my mind and my heart. Anger is an alien thing in my mind. Oh, I get frustrated sometimes. I don't walk on water. But anger is an alien thing in my consciousness now. When I get anger, I can't wait till I can put it away and be peaceful again. Yes, it's so worth it. I've been told I was dying of cancer so many times I can't tell you. And yet here I am laughing about it. So that's part of healing, is that know yourself as a child and forgive it. Release it. Like I said, I like the word forgive because it's more heartfelt. Release is what I do, but I'm releasing my heart. That's forgiving. And the breathing is the tool to activate those centers. And when those centers are burdened and blocked, they will show you your work that needs to be done. Like I said, one of the big things that I noticed when I was doing this is I couldn't talk. I'd try to talk and I'd grit my teeth and I'd get angry at the thought of talking. Like I said, anger was my defense mechanism. I use it for everything, push everything away. You know, so I don't have that problem anymore. Okay. Anything else you'd like to talk about this? Get this meditation, read these words, and put this together in your story. Do the breath. Get that energy up your prana, up and down your prana. Now you know what I mean when I'm doing this. I see myself in the recordings because as I review the recording, I'm talking and I'm doing this, and I go and I think, I wonder if anybody has any idea what I'm doing while I'm waving my hand across my face like that. Well, now you do, and I don't have to explain it again. Okay, next week we're going to do 2 chapters. We're going to do chapter 6 and chapter 7. Chapter 6 is a chapter of just stories, examples of truth. And chapter 7 is a little bit different. It says chapter 7 is heart intelligence. That had some, everything in this book had surprises for me. And so chapter 6 and chapter 7 is what we'll talk about. And we'll talk about some of the pictures in the book as well. It's going to be pretty interesting. Everything in his Dr. Joe's work is interesting to me. Adriana, you got your hand up, or you just waving goodnight?
Oh, no. But yes, thank you, Ray. And that's funny. You said anger, and so that's energy, right? That's the passion that you were mentioning earlier. That's a passion. So that passion, then it I just has to go through my liver. Like the anger is coming from the liver, so it just has to pass. It has to transcend through towards the heart.
Yeah.
To transcend, to transform, to mutate. But that's passion and intention. I think like also intention, like yes, forgiving myself, and it's not letting go the anger, but like just allowing the anger to that energy, just seeing it as energy to move more towards.
Sometimes these events, you feel the anger come up, and as you think about the anger, there's a story behind that anger. You're not just angry like you smelt something out of the air and you know, oh, that stinks. No, there's a story in that anger. Somebody slapped you, somebody cheated you on a job, somebody wrecked your car, somebody broke your heart. There's a story in that anger. In that, as it comes up, you've got these stories that come up. A lot of them, this was really something weird to me. A lot of these first level stories you get are illusions to blind you from a truth in your own heart. Don't worry about it. You treat it just like you're treating something you know, because it's got a string that's tied to the real reality. So if something that says something happens, you were driving a green car and your green car is in an accident, you said, I've never owned a green car. What is it talking about? It doesn't matter. You release the energy of the event, and slowly that illusion fades, and you'll start getting into the real seed that's causing the tension in that energy center. So I know to me, that was really weird that I was getting these things that I know. I got all this ugly past, and I'm getting stuff that it's making up stuff. I don't need to make up my ugly past. Just like, come on. But I had to learn to deal with my illusions until I could get into really dealing with the pain that I was hiding. So if you come across that, you're not alone. You're not crazy. It seems to be part of the human experience. We create illusions in our mind to protect us from ourselves, because some of us really are ugly, have ugly past, and I didn't want to look at it. So we created these illusions, and I had to forgive my way past my illusions into my really ugly past, my really anger and the mess I caused, until I could get rid of that and deal with my child self that was at the heart, that was stroking the fire of the tension, provoking it. Once my child found peace, then I had peace. Along that same line, remember, There's something. What does your past self, present self, and future self have in common? The self. And the self is in the present moment. If you are pushing the past away because it's ugly, you're pushing the future self away too. And that's how come you're having a hard time tying to your future self, because your past is hidden away. As you heal your past, your future self becomes something you can tune to, because there's one self. Heal it all, and your present self. Remember, we had a chapter on the present moment. Your present moment becomes real. You are really one person, not a past self, future self. You are just self, but we're divided by our stress. Heal the stress, let go of the pain, and you'll come together. Did I ever say it was easy? It sure was not easy for me. I shed a lot of tears, this old man sitting here by myself, just so ashamed of my past, trying to let go and forgiving myself many, many times. Slowly, I was able to let go of my pain of my own past. It was worth it. My mind is quiet. Oh my goodness, you just can't imagine what that means to me.
Something else, right? In page 136, it says like the body doesn't know the difference between um an emotion and the experience. So then I can use that. It's like a dream, right? Like when I'm dreaming, my brain doesn't know the difference if that I am dreaming. I like I
Right.
can smell,
I mean,
taste
who
it.
hasn't had a dream so real they wake up going, did I do that? We've all experienced dreams like that. Yeah. Also, do you know what the day before Thanksgiving is like when you're planning a big feast and people you've got all kind of, I mean, you're all but, I don't know about ladies. How ladies would never act this way, but guys will all but drool just imagining overeating that turkey and stuffing and the chatter with their friends, and maybe they'll have a few beers. They're all rowdy. They're imagining it as if it's today, and it could be a couple days away. That's an example.
So then it's like, why am I believing everything that my mind or that the brain is telling me on my negative self, right? Like you're not worth it, etc., etc. It's like
Yeah.
that, and that's the same, like 95% of the same thoughts over and
Yeah.
over through the day.
Dr. Joe is recorded as saying 50% or more of the stories we tell ourselves of our past isn't true. It's been exaggerated, colored, blanks have been filled in, all kind of crazy stuff. So he says, quit believing your own stories. I said, no way on it. And the more, because I didn't accept that when I first heard it. It was like, what? I had to really think and get honest with myself to see how in myself, without even telling it, I am embellishing ego-wise stories. It's like, golly, I really do just fill my own mind with a bunch of BS. So it just one more reason says, don't even believe your own stories. Just release it. Just release it. Just release it until you're at peace, and create stories of the future.
Thank you, everybody. I will.
Thank you, Adriana. Oh yeah, it's 9:30. It's a good time to put an end to this. Any last comments? No? I haven't heard from any guys today. I thought Bob was going to speak and he never did. Come on, Stephen, you've been smiling at me for hours now, and I am just like waiting for you to say something.
Well, I just want to say it has really been educative, and I've enjoyed every part of it. So I think probably by next time, if I can come in a bit early, then I should be able to contribute a bit more. And I also need to get some of the books. So probably if I can get a link, I would appreciate getting much of the book so I can follow up each time we come here. So thank you very much, Ray.
Well, good. I'm glad I inspired you. I go to Dr. Joe Dispenza's drjoedispenza.com and go to shop. That's where I bought my stuff. I got the audiobook, I got the paperback, I got the meditations, I got, well, you know, I've been doing this for a few years. And so I got all kind of stuff. If you're a heady type person like I was, Dr. Joe's truly first book is this one, Evolve Your Brain. There's no meditation in it. There's no mysticism in it. This is medical, neurological science. It is probably one of the most challenging books I have read in a long time. And when you're done with that book, you will understand nothing Dr. Joe does is haphazard. He is probably the most technical, scientific meditation teacher on the planet. That's how come when you look at this book and other books, he's got mind charts on it and brain EEG scans and all kind of blood tests and things like that. He validates everything, even the way he says space within a space. I heard him at a conference saying, yeah, we even scan that to see what kind of effect, how to say the effect that I want to get. So he is very deliberate in everything he does. So good night, all. That was a pretty interesting talk. This was an important meditation. I hope you follow up and buy it and use it and learn the secrets that it holds.